stopping by.
The Herd Lie News.
There are so many things for me to address today. Colin right, Colin wrong at the top of the hour. Joe Thomas is going to show up here. 11 years in the NFL, 10 as a Pro Bowler. He'll be joining us. So, you know, I've been very critical of Cam Newton through the years, and I've said he's a lot like Russell Westbrook. I'm not denying the talent, the athletic ability, the charm, the fashion, the iconics. But Oklahoma City at one point had to ask themselves, why are we in the Westbrook business? We're not winning. He's bad with the media. He's bad with the fans. And frankly, everybody that leaves gets better without him. And that's what I wonder today as the new owner of Carolina was in his massive private jet flying from Arizona to Charlotte. Why am I in the Cam business? Last 8 starts, he's lost. Kyle Allen's last 2 starts, he's won. And stop telling me that Carolina doesn't have any good offensive players. Greg Olsen, I haven't seen him look that good in years. DJ Moore, Curtis Samuel, Christian McCaffrey. You got to ask yourself at some point, is Cam hurting the team? And I said this with Westbrook. I'm not denying the talent. I'm not denying the charm. I'm not denying a lot, but popular doesn't interest me unless it comes with winning. And I don't think Cam right now, I keep saying this. You watched the game yesterday. Those offensive weapons, stop telling me they don't have offensive weapons. They are tremendous. Carolina's got DJ Moore is tremendous. Christian McCaffrey is remarkable. Greg Olsen, I would vote for him for the Hall of Fame. I'm not talking Joe Thomas Hall of Fame, Khalil Mack level, but Greg Olsen gets my Hall of Fame vote. He's more Eli Manning. You can argue over it, but, I mean, come on. Kyle Allen, that's what Carolina's offense should look like. So I think in OKC, they asked the question, why are we in the Westbrook business? Popular is only good for me if we win. You're good with the media. You're good with fans. Teammates love playing for you. Carolina, to me, looked better yesterday with Kyle Allen. All right, he's one of the all-time great players in NFL history, and I don't say that about a lot of people that come on the show. 11 years, he was a 10-time Pro Bowler. In my life, there's been 4 or 5 left tackles, Anthony Munoz, Jonathan Ogden, Walter Jones. I go way, way, way back to John Hanna as a kid, Sports Illustrated cover, New England left tackle, and Joe Thomas. And he is one of the most respected guys in the league, and he does a podcast now, NFL Network stuff, the Tomahawk Show by Uninterrupted, and he is joining us via the Coward Global Satellite Network. So last week, Joe, I thought you were very honest, and we patted you on the back for this. It's very difficult to be in Cleveland. LeBron left. Baker he's the hero, and he should be. He's your franchise. But you said something last week about the offense, and we talked about it. You said it's unsettling. It's easy for me to criticize Baker, but I will say this. I don't like the play calling, and here's my big problem, Joe. I don't know what they are offensively. That's my knock. You're in the city. You see practice. Is that bother you? What is their identity on offense?
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I said that the offense has been a little bit unsettling, because they haven't got into a rhythm. And when they get into those moments where you have to have a play that's made at the end of a game, we don't know what they're going to do really well. And sometimes you can use that to your advantage because that makes you unpredictable. But when you get into those situations and you don't have something that you can fall back on that you feel good about calling, like, hey, we're a team that we can run the football on anybody, or, hey, you know what? OBJ can get open against anybody, and we know we can throw it in tight windows, and that's what we're going to hang our hat on. And right now, they don't have that. And so I think you're seeing a lack of rhythm on that offense, and that's causing a lack of long drives for them, and that's really hurt them because they don't have the ability right now to just move the ball steadily down the field and go get a score. It's been kind of a boom or bust mentality with that offense.
Are you worried about Freddie Kitchens? Everybody this morning will clobber him on, OBJ didn't get any targets down the stretch, but let me defend him there. Amari Cooper got 7 targets yesterday. Devontae Adams got 4. Nick Chubb's good. Jarvis Landry. You guys got plenty of offensive player. Your backup tight end's a hell of a player. So I'm not going to bang on him for OBJ. But there a lot of penalties, no kind of identity offense. Are you concerned about Freddie Kitchen being a little over his skis right now?
Well, I think he's got a lot of really smart coaches in that staff that can clearly help him out. But you are a little bit concerned just from what you've seen so far from the offense. It is a team with a lot of talent, especially on that offensive skill player position. And I think that's been part of the hard thing about finding that identity is when you have all that talent, you got to figure out, okay, what are we going to do in crunch moments? Are we going to be a team that gives the ball to Nick Chubb, or are we going to be a team that gives the ball to Odell Beckham? And they haven't really been able to sort it out just yet. Who is going to be their stud? Who is going to be their warhorse that they're going to ride in critical moments? And it'll be up to Freddie Kitchens to figure that out because, like I said, they have a lot of talent. Now they just got to figure out how all that talent can fit together and become a team.
Joe, you played hard every Sunday. In football, film is the truth. So I don't think teams rarely bail. I am concerned a little about the Jets. Are you worried with all these road games? Good Lord, at San Francisco, at Baltimore looked good this weekend, New England, Denver. Are you concerned that this is a very young team, Joe? Young players tend to be more emotional, that they could go sideways and unravel here if they go on a 4-game losing streak?
Well, that was the concern when you look at this schedule in the summer and when the schedule came out, was this is a really difficult stretch that they're going through right now. And with this young and inexperienced team, it is easier to get on that emotional roller coaster. But I do think that right now, starting out the season 1-2 actually could possibly help them because Baker, his whole career, has thrived on that underdog mentality. And I think he is a guy that wants that chip on his shoulder. He doesn't want anybody to give him any chance. And as Baker goes, this team is going to go. And so I think starting out the way they did and hearing the criticism nationally and even locally from how their offense has performed and the lack of rhythm that we've seen can really be a rallying cry where they can circle the wagons. And I do think that this stretch, while it's going to be tough, they're going to find a lot about themselves. And I think this is actually the type of situation that Baker wants to be in. He's not the guy, even though he enjoys this being the center of attention, I don't think he does his best work when he has all that hype. He does his best work when he's got his chip on his shoulder and nobody's giving him a chance.
I want to move off to Daniel Jones. And I said this yesterday. I love Eli Manning. I love Archie Manning, Cooper Manning, Eli. I've never met Peyton. They're wonderful people. They're NFL royalty. But I did feel like with Eli in the last 3 to 4 years, when you got down on the road, it really felt hopeless. And when you give me the Kyler Murrays and the Lamars and the Daniel Jones that can make plays happen with their feet, there's a juice, there's a component that you got a playmaker back there. What did you make? I mean, what do we make of Daniel Jones early? What do you think he adds? I mean, your thoughts on a young guy that it seemed like yesterday, even down by 18 points, they were never out of that game.
Well, they keep making the comparison with Daniel Jones, saying he's just like a young Eli Manning. But this guy can run the football. Nobody was going to be confused watching Eli Manning run, thinking he was Saquon Barkley. And so when you're a one-dimensional quarterback, you've got to be really, really good, really, really accurate, and very good with your decision-making if you're no threat to run the football. And now they add a different dimension with Daniel Jones, being able to be back there, run some of these RPOs, and give these defenses something else to think about and something to prepare for. And as a young quarterback who maybe doesn't yet have his PhD in coverages and different blitzes and looks that a defense is going to give him, to be able to run the football and escape the pocket and buy a little bit more time with your feet, that's the recipe for success when you're a young quarterback. We saw it with Russell Wilson. We've seen it now with Daniel Jones, and you're seeing it with Gardner Minshew down in Jacksonville. To be able to run with the football in your hand as a young quarterback, that gives you the opportunity for success. To be able to just stand back there and throw the football, if that's all you can do as a rookie quarterback, you're probably not going to have success because the level that the NFL has from a defensive standpoint is so much greater and so much more complex than what they saw in college. I do believe it's like getting a doctorate. You need 3 years of watching NFL film and being in those NFL meetings before you can really confidently break down a defense and watch that secondary and not get confused on a consistent basis. So running with the football as a young quarterback is vital to success, and we saw Daniel Jones do a good job of that yesterday.
Listen, San Francisco's 3-0, but they've been choppy and they're young. They're just making a ton of mistakes. Like Cleveland, sometimes they shoot themselves in the foot. Baltimore lost to Kansas City, Joe, but that offensive line and that running game, that time of possession, you guys go to Baltimore. There are times when you lose games in this league, and I come on the air Monday, and I'm like, that is a good team. I was kind of blown away by Baltimore yesterday. What do you make of Lamar Jackson at this point and that offense?
Well, if you're able to run the football in the NFL, you can keep up with anybody, especially when you're playing a good rushing defense on the other side of the football. The concern that I have right now in Baltimore is their secondary. The way that they're having communication issues consistently on a weekly basis, giving up all sorts of yards through the air. That's something that's going to be hard, even if they do run the football and they squeeze the football offensively, winning the time of possession battle. When the other team's able to get back there and just throw it at will on your secondary, that's going to be a big concern long term. But they've got the formula. As long as Lamar Jackson's able to stay healthy, to be able to run the football, not only with Mark Ingram in their traditional running game with their running backs, but to have that threat of a quarterback who can run, and then also some of the RPOs and some of the deep shots that they take off of it, they're going to be dangerous, and they're different. And that's what makes them hard to defend. And they're not going to be like any other team that these guys see. And so when they do match up against a New England or a Kansas City, they're going to give them fits. And they could really realistically beat any team in the NFL on any Sunday.
Finally, 30 seconds to a minute left. That's the best Wisconsin defense I think I've ever seen. We can bang on Harbaugh. I said this yesterday. Jonathan Taylor's the best college running back I've seen since Zeke, and I include Saquon Barkley. I think he's more complete. I got to tell you, as a Badger, is this the best Wisconsin team ever?
Well, I hope you're right by saying that. I'm not sure I'm ready to crown them as the best team from Wisconsin ever, but certainly they have the makings of what a great Wisconsin. The best teams from Wisconsin were always teams that had a great running back, they could run the football at will, and they had a really, really tough defense. But more than anything, they were kind of made up of no-name guys, like guys that you hadn't been hearing about all year long. It was that blue-collar mentality, almost like we were talking about with Baker. Wisconsin teams have always thrived when nobody's given them a chance, and they have that blue-collar mentality where they can kind of circle the wagons and use that as a rallying cry the whole year. Outside of Jonathan Taylor, who you mentioned, everybody in the country knows who that is. You can't really name a lot of guys on this team, and I think that just sets up perfectly for the type of team that Wisconsin always wants to be when they're really good.
Joe Thomas, you were great. Played in 10,363 consecutive snaps, an NFL record. You're a tremendous young broadcaster. Keep kicking butt. The podcast is called The Tomahawk Show, uninterrupted weekly podcast. NFL veterans, former teammates. Joe, you're going to be okay. Baltimore could be tough for your Brownies, but after that, I think there's wins on the horizon. Good luck.
Well, I appreciate it. Hey, we win in Baltimore. We're in first place in the AFC North, so don't forget that, Browns fans. All is not lost.
All right, good stuff. And he's a Badger, and he should be proud because, man, that is as good as Wisconsin has looked in a long time. Coming up next, I'm going to hand out my first ever Golden Pen Award. I know. Joy's like, don't get it. You will. It's borderline brilliant. That's coming up. Packers win it, and I'll tell you why next.